Hi everybody, this is Don. Welcome back. I got Jason's there is on the camera, and I'm sure he'll be flitting around here and there. Today we wanted to share with you a project that we're just about to start. What we're going to do is stick an end wall here to close in this area here on the building, and what it's going to look like. We're going to have four windows across the top, and we're going to have a 4-foot door which we're going to have to make, and in that door is a sliding window. Over on that end there, it'll be just solid wall so that we can put shelving and cabinets on the inside of the building to make use of that space. So that's why we have the windows up pretty high. One of the first things that we always do before we start a project, and I think it's probably the most important thing to do, that's planning. And what we've typically found is that when we plan out the job, and I normally do that over a cup of coffee in the morning, we can save a lot on materials, and we can reuse a lot of materials by changing dimensions a little bit. So that's really saved us quite a bit of money by doing the planning and looking at the different issues we're going to run into and addressing them before we get there. For example, for this project, there's a couple issues we have to deal with. First of all is the weather. This whole side of the building, we get some pretty heavy rain. Sometimes it's almost horizontal coming at us, so we've got to really make sure that we do seal up the building well. Another issue that we're going to have to deal with is down here, where you probably can't see too well at this point, but we've got to make sure that we seal that up so no insects can get in, no animals can get in, and also allow it to provide us some ventilation in the building. The other thing here is at some point in time we plan to put in a lap pool or something in the building. So what we need is a way that in case we have the pool have a serious leak or burst or something, we've got to make sure that we've allowed enough capacity to drain a lot of water pretty quickly. So that's kind of the other issue that we have. The way we're going to do this is it's pretty hard to try and shoot the video while we're doing everything. So I think what we're going to do is, as we go along, we're going to take a whole bunch of pictures and put them in later part of this video, and that way you can see how things progress, and probably have some points, some issues we run into, that sort of thing. The other thing is there's kind of 4 or 5 main stages that we're going to do. First is we're going to do our framing, and we're going to do it in modules instead of trying to do the whole wall, because another issue we have is that this opening is not exactly square, and it's enclosed in terms of having a frame around it. So we have to make sure that when we put the modules up, which will be smaller and easier to carry, we're able to get everything in there and get everything squared up, because obviously when you're putting in windows and that sort of thing, you got to make sure it's well braced and square and plumb. Okay, the next thing is once we have the modules all made, and again we'll show you that, we have to install them and get everything set up. Then what we have to do is sheathe the opening. We've got some extra tar paper kicking around. We've got some ravens helping us out here. And then after that, install the windows, the door, and then for the final thing we'll be putting some cement board called hardy plank, again to help try and keep this fire resistant, this building, because if we ever have an issue, we've got a building that's quite resistant to fire. So that's kind of the main steps of the project. And Jason, you got anything to say there?
No.
Okay.
We're good.
We're good to go?
Yep, let's get started.
Let's get started.
Okay, here's kind of a slideshow for you. Here's the outside of the building, just kind of showing what we're working with, and a shot inside. And here's our windows. Now here's our raw materials. We cut them all to size before we started assembly, so we just already had a plan and cut them all up. And here we measured where we were going to attach the other pieces. And now we're doing the frame assembly. Now that block really helps to make the corners nice and square. And that connection is really strong because you got screws from 2 different sides. And more framing. There's our window fitting in the frame, and the top 2 frames are done here. You'll see that in a few minutes. Now we use the back of the truck as a nice big flat area so we don't have to bend down because it's up at a good level. And Callie is helping us here. It's a little hard to get a good diagonal, but oh well. Yeah, that's not really important to her, is it? We use the clamp to straighten the wood. If it's twisted, you just push down on the clamp before you put it together. And there's half the lower frame. And here's one of the problem areas we'll have to deal with. The diagonal on the last piece. No cat here helping though. Here's the header. Don will be talking about that a little more in the next part of the video. And our helper is back with helping fit the windows. Back to some live video. Over to you, Don.
Hi everybody, we're back. What we've done since last time you saw us, we've put our four modules together, and we're going to show them to you today. We laid them out on the floor for you so you can have kind of an idea of what's coming at you. I guess the first thing I want to mention before we get into actually looking at what we're doing here was when you're doing building around your place, please make sure that you follow your local building codes. We use here when we build, basically try to use the building code as the minimum for our construction purposes anyway. So anyway, just thought I'd mention that. If you don't do a lot of building, you may not be aware of that. So let's have a look at what we've got here, okay? Okay, first of all, really early on we got into, we were able to get some windows from our local Home Depot on a really good sale. So basically bought the windows first and then figure out how we were going to put them in the into the opening. So that worked out really really nicely. The other thing you're going to notice here is that we don't actually have a door in here yet. I just put the window here, the door window, just to show you kind of how it's going to look. A couple of things also on wood quality. Really noticed here in British Columbia in the last 10 years, the quality of our wood has steadily gone downhill. And I'm not sure if it's they're selling the crap for domestic use and then shipping the good stuff overseas or whatever. I don't know about that. But anyway, when you do run into some studs that are maybe not the best quality, what we do is, and here's a good example, when you have to double stud or something, we put the crappy sides facing each other. And again, you can, you know, if you have two boards that are bowed opposite, you can, you know, put them together and then screw them tight and it straightens them right up. Anyway, that's what we do. And this way you keep a nice sharp edge for when you have to take measurements or you have to butt up sheetrock or plywood or something like that. It just makes for a lot better job, and you get to use the wood that way.
Looks like there's been a beaver gnawing at that.
Yeah, it looks like somebody's been gnawing at that, that's for sure. Another area here is on some smaller pieces of wood that otherwise would maybe get scrapped or something, we put them in as a blocking piece. And by doing that, what it really does is it strengthens the studs that are screwed into it. And this way, for example, in our door, if we put the hinge on this beam here, having this block in keeps the stud from twisting or turning. And we'll probably add another one or two of these on just to make sure that this is really strong. And again, the sheathing is 1/2-inch plywood, which is pretty strong too. So it should make for a nice stable surface to have the door hinge on. Another area I'd just like to touch bases with you on is the header. Above windows or doors, you put what's called a header. And in our case, what we've done here is we've used a couple of 2x4s, and we sandwiched them. We sandwiched a 1/2-inch piece of, or 1/2-inch thickness of plywood in here. So that gives us our proper dimension. On a stud, normally it's 3.5 inches wide by 1.5 inches thick. So to get the 3.5 inches, you have to put the 1/2-inch plywood. It fits in great and makes for a nice, really strong beam, so there's no weight deflecting it. Also, every 8-9 inches, we put in quite a few screws on both sides. It makes for a very strong beam. All right, a couple other things that I wanted to show you here. See if Jason can swing the camera down. On the bottom of the framing, we've got a couple of pieces of, I think that's 5/8 pressure treated wood. The reason we have that there is that is what sits on some concrete pads that we have. I don't like putting bare wood onto concrete because that's about the first place that things will rot out on you. Also, we'll probably put some sill tape along the bottom of that. these 2x2 pieces that we have, we'll show it to you in better detail on the next video, but basically that is what our insect and animal barrier system is going to screw onto. So that's what those are there for. On the next video, what we're going to show is basically ripping off what's ripping out, I should say, what's there, and show putting up these modules up to build the wall. So looking forward to doing that, because that's when you really feel like you're making some headway. So anything that you wanted to add there, Jason?
No, I'm good. We'll see you next time.
All right, you guys take care now. Bye.